everyone, this is Nikachu Merfolk Master, and today we are going to look at a replay of me making the top 8 of the Modern Challenge with what else? Merfolk. We're still playing Merfolk in Modern, and I'm continuing to prove that this deck is as adaptable as ever and can still compete in a Modern metagame. If you want to see how Merfolk evolves to stay competitive in Magic the Gathering, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Before we get into our deck tech, we're going to thank our sponsors, starting with the manabase.com, your home base for everything Magic the Gathering, and the MTG Mastermind, the coaching program to help you take your game to a new winning level. If you want to learn from people who win Grand Prix and make the Pro Tour, go learn from them at the MTG Mastermind. And I've got new patrons supporting me on Patreon. Thank you all so much for your support, continuing to make Modern Merfolk strong, and also we're working on Pioneer Spirits, keeping blue tempo decks competitive in Magic. So I'd like to very much thank Ozgun Arslantis, Joe Ayala, and Antoine Pagliatti. Thank you all so much for your support on Patreon. So we are still playing Simic Merfolk because we still need to leverage Kamena Speaker and the really fast starts that we can get out of Kamena Speaker. We basically, I think Merfolk is the most competitive right now when we can be at least as aggro as possible. We can definitely take a controlling role, but Kamena Speaker helps so much in so many matchups. Between trying to race a Stoneblade deck, because I don't think that game should go long. You don't want to go long against a 4/4 life-linking vigilance creature, so you have to try to win those games very quickly. You want to still race things like humans. You want to race Tron, Amulet. Even Eldrazi Tron. So you do want cards that help race and give you an opportunity to win the game very quickly. The deck is very similar to the one where I played without Silvergill Adept. It's very similar, but we're playing with Silvergill Adept now. Why? Why are we running Silvergill Adept instead of the 8/1 drops? Because before in this slot I had Benthic Biomancer. And the simple answer is I'm seeing a lot of Death Shadow, tons and tons of Death Shadow, and also a lot of control between like Bant Snowblade, Sultai Snow, blue-white control, and Silvergill Adept is definitely going to edge out cards like Benthic Biomancer in those matchups. I mean, having early aggro starts are good, but just raw card advantage is better. So that's why we're running Silvergill Adept. And I think especially against the Death Shadow decks, you have to have Silvergill Adept. It's better than Benthic Biomancer, especially against the green Death Shadow decks, against the green ones. They've got a lot of removal. So we're running a Silvergill Adept. Some notable cards in the sideboard. We have Shaper's Sanctuary. This card is a card, like, again, the Death Shadow matchup. I want to have some playability against that. And I don't know what the correct number is between 2 and 1. There are some matchups we're going to bring in 2, like against Jund, like against Death Shadow. But I don't mind bringing in 1 against, say, Eldrazi Tron, which also has a lot of removal. Or even Mono Red Prowess, which also has a decent chunk of removal. Post board they're bringing in Stomp and Abrade, and they still have Lava Darts, and every single time they target our creature, we draw a card. So Shaper's Sanctuary, is a good card. I think it's a good card right now, and I'm willing to play it. I'm willing to play Shaper's Sanctuary. I'm pretty fine with all these sideboard cards. Even the 4 Chalice of the Void, mainly for the Mono Red Prowess deck. Some people have been asking me, what's a budget replacement for Chalice of the Void? I think you can play Tidebinder Mage in this slot. It'll help you against the green Death Shadow decks. It'll help a little bit against Amulet. It will also help against the Mono Red Prowess decks as well. Just tapping down the Prowess creature, forcing them to kill it, which uses up a Prowess trigger, is going to be worthwhile. So instead of spending hundreds of dollars on Chalice of the Void, which, by the way, is a pretty low price. Chalice collapsed in price, both I think online and on paper. So now is a good time to buy Chalice of the Void if you don't have it. But also, it's if you don't want to buy it, you can play Tidebinder Mage. Now, normally I've been playing Grafdigger's Cage. in all the other modern challenges I've played so far, I've played Grafdigger's Cage specifically so that I can beat Sodek in these modern challenges, because I want to win the modern challenge, and to do that, one of the players I have to play against for sure is going to be Sodek on Dredge, and we're at a spot against Dredge where we need hate cards. We're not going to beat them in a fair fight for the most part. It's just not going to happen. Force of Negation does help a lot. This is probably the only card that I might want to see in my opening hand, other than specific hate cards that can win the game. Sometimes you just Force Negation their Cathartic Reunion, and you can race them. You can race them with your Commander Speakers and your Lords. So that's possible. Sometimes you Force Negation a Shriekhorn, and that will be enough. But for the most part, the matchup's not very fair, and you really depend and leverage. You need to leverage the graveyard hate cards in order to win this matchup, because yeah, I mean, ever since Creeping Chill got printed, it's very, very difficult to beat. They always have a very high life total. We have a very low life total, so our game plan really depends on stabilizing the game through graveyard hate and then winning from there. And now, the point is, though, that I was playing with Grafdigger's Cage for weeks, and I didn't run against Sodek or any Dredge players. So for this particular modern challenge, I took out the Grafdigger Cages for Ashiok, and it's going to have massive consequences down the line. Massive consequences. What else can I say about this list? Not really much else. 3 Dismembers. Dismember is super well positioned right now. Hit against the Death Shadow decks, Mono Red Prowess, Stoneblade, Eldrazi Tron. It's very, very well positioned. I'd like to have a 4th. I don't know what to cut, though. I don't know what to cut. I would say the weakest card in my sideboard is Chalice of the Void, but I don't know a better card to beat up on Mono Red Prowess, and that is a very popular matchup right now. So, but anyway, this is the list. I've been running this for a few weeks. This is probably what I would play at a GP if I had to go to one tomorrow. So with that, let's get into the Modern Challenge. So I won the die roll, which was good, and we're faced with the starting hand, which is not very good. It's got too many mana sources. We've got 4 mana sources. We have a Force of Negation, which we need to draw. Like, either we're going to pitch one of our few threats, or we need to hope to draw another land in order to cast it, which we don't want to because we already have enough mana. This hand's just a mulligan. It's just the creatures that we have are weak, the Force of Negation is awkward, and we have too much mana. This hand is a 1-lander, and on the play, I still don't really believe in it. So some things I really wanted to focus on in this Modern Challenge was to mulligan aggressively, and to have good, even if I have to go down to like 4 cards, make sure it's just a good, proactive, strong hand. I don't want to keep any risky hands right now in Modern. Like, decks now in Modern are such well-oiled machines, you can't risk playing like a slow, clunky hand. Anyway, so 1-lander on the play, I'm not. Even though I could play Force of Negation, I just didn't want to do it. So we go to, oh, did I miss one of the hands? I might have missed one of the hands because they're, or no, this is, no, this is, yeah, we've mulliganed to 5. Again, a 1-lander on the play. This isn't any better than the other one, and we still don't even have a 1-drop or anything like that. So, let's go to 4. And this hand is quite reasonable. This hand is good. It's good for multiple reasons. We've got a 1-drop, a Lord. So if we top deck more Lords, like, we have a very good start. And on top of that, our mana is a Horizon land, so we can crack that for another card if we need to. So this hand actually has a lot of grind to it. So now, in the past, I might have got rid of 3 lands here and kept a 1-lander with the Dismember to keep my hand threat dense. But I don't have that opinion anymore. Fact of the matter is, we've got more threats in our deck than we have mana, so I should keep at least 2 mana for my Lord of Atlantis and just hope to top deck threats, and just being on a good curve is good. If I remember correctly, I think I pitch 1 Grove, 1 Misty Rainforest. Yeah. Oh, and the Dismember. Yeah, we're not keeping the Dismember. Just need a way to win the game. So we start off with Commander Speaker and pass. So the hand is good. So we're up against Hollowed Fountain. This doesn't say much yet about our opponent's deck. We draw another Waterlogged Grove. Not ideal, because I don't want to spend a turn to crack it, but whatever. At least it can still get exchanged for a card. We attack for 3. Our opponent plays Stoneforge Mystic, which is not too bad for our spot. Alright, so we're not up against like a super control deck. We're up against Stoneblade, and we have already an Island Walker on the board. And on our turn, we draw another Island Walker, so this is great. So we're actually setting up a turn 4 kill at a mulligan to 4. So I'm actually really happy. So we attack for 7, put our opponent down to 10. I play land and pass. Our opponent takes their turn, and they play Teferi Time Raveler. It's annoying. They bounce one of our creatures. They pass. Okay, I draw a Silvergill Adept for the turn. It's close what we want to do. Do we want to play the Master of the Pearl Trident or Silvergill Adept? Ideally, I do want to play the Master of the Pearl Trident because it guarantees me damage. Guarantees that I'm going to kill my opponent. Silvergill Adept can draw a card, but if I don't get an Island Walker, I might deal less damage with the Stoneforge Mystic on the battlefield. I don't know if they actually want to chump block, but maybe. I don't know what the construct of their hand is. They could, even though they play with less Supreme Verdicts than Blue-White Control, they still play with Supreme Verdicts. So I wanted to just guarantee the damage here. I guess at the same time, I hedge a little bit against Supreme Verdict by keeping the Silvergill in my hand. Or do I? I mean, I still draw a card if I play it first. Anyway, it's tough. What I can do here is I do have the option, now I'm guaranteed to deal damage to my opponent, and I can kill the Teferi. But even here, I have like a really tough decision. I split it between killing the Teferi and then and trying to kill my opponent. And I'm just doing this because well, the other option is I go all out on my opponent here. That is another option. I could just go full 7 at them, and like if you tick up to Fairy, well, I plan on killing you next turn anyway, so it doesn't matter. And that might have been a better decision. That might have been the better line, because okay, so you tick up to Fairy. I mean, if you have Supreme Verdict, I'm still dead. Supreme Verdict is still Supreme Verdict, and if you play it at instant speed or on my turn, it doesn't matter. Sorry, like if you play it on my turn or your turn, it doesn't matter. So maybe the correct thing was to attack the opponent, but like if this game does go long, if it has to somehow, this Teferi is going to be terrible. It's going to be so annoying to fight. Although I'm not really trying to play for a long game. So anyway, I'm still pretty happy about my spot. My opponent plays Opt, which also looks good for me. Because now how do you play like Path to Exile and Batterskull? Unless you have it all in your hand. They kept a card on top of their library, play Polluted Delta and pass. So I can't play around Path to Exile very well. I mean, I could just attack with the Kamena Speaker, and they could exile this. Because they found Batterskull with Stoneforge Mystic. I think they found Batterskull. Yeah, they found Batterskull. So Batterskull is going to start gaining life no matter what. So I have to start attacking. If I attack with Kamena Speaker, they could Path to Exile it, put Batterskull in play. Or they could just take the damage. I mean, I'm not threatening lethal with this Kamena Speaker, and they could save Path to Exile for later. But the point is, like, I could play a Silvergill Adept and then maybe set, like, attack for 4, play Silvergill Adept, and attack for another 4. But in all those situations with Path to Exile, I'm prolonging the game. Like, if I just want to attack with Kamena Speaker, I don't win this turn. My opponent can untap, find a Verdict, find something, put me in a really bad spot. Whereas if I attack right now, I can attempt to win the game at the moment. And I force my opponent to have Path to Exile in hand. And with them having a full grip of cards, I don't want this game to go into the long game. I'm down on cards significantly. I know I have more in hand, but I take the short route. I do play Silvergill Adept first. See if I can draw a Dismember, because if I do, that will help me in combat by a lot. I don't draw a Dismember. Because if I draw a Dismember, then if they activate Stoneforge Mystic, put Batterskull in play, I can dismember it, and I don't have to worry about it getting blocked. Or any of my creatures getting blocked. So now I just go all in. Quite unfortunately, my opponent fetches, plays Batterskull. That can't be a good sign when they play Batterskull first. They pat to exile one of my lords, and basically this game is over. Because they can block my Master of the Pearl Trident, and I'm about to lose everything. And, oh, the story gets worse. They play Sword of Feast and Famine. Equipped creature has pro black and green. If it deals damage to a player, I have to discard a card and they can untap all their lands. So now I'm just super dead. I'm dead beyond dead. I don't even know what I'm hoping for. Maybe an Island Walk Lord. I can play double Lord, attack for 8. And there's still some chance, pending if their hand sucks. If it's full of land, I could win. I mean, they're not choked on mana or anything. They always had lands, but I don't draw this Island Walker, and now this Germ Token is just completely gonna take 6 damage a turn, pro green. Nope, not gonna happen. So I concede. We go on to game 2. Alright, so let's look at the sideboard. I took out the Spreading Seas because Island Walk is not important. I brought in Force of Negation. I brought in 1 Shaper Sanctuary. I think that's it. I just took out, and I don't even think I need Shaper Sanctuary. I was just starving for cards. I mean, if anything, I would like to take out maybe 1 land in this matchup because it's a Path to Exile matchup. Maybe I could have brought in 1 Chalice of the Void. It's not terrible. Even the Relic is probably the Relic was better than the Shaper Sanctuary in this matchup. Oh, maybe I wanted this to hedge against Teferi. Teferi can target my creatures, like Teferi Time Raveler. Whatever. That was my decision at the time. Sideboard Guide might say something else. Whoops. I kept. Okay, I keep. I play my Aether Vial on the Mutavault and pass. I keep the hand because double Mutavault's still pretty good in this matchup. Like, they might have more Supreme Verdicts post board, but they still usually just have 2. But, you know, it's just raw threat density. I have Silvergill Adaptable will help draw me a card. The hand also... One thing I like about Aether Vial is you can attack into a Batterskull and then... attack into Stoneforge Mystic, and if they put Batterskull in play, or sink mana into doing that, then you can Vial in the Island Walk Lord, give your creatures Island Walk, and attack through for victory. I like positioning my cards in a way to play around... to make them use up a lot of mana for a combat trick that doesn't work. I also do that again. I like to do that against Iced Fang Quaddle. I want to get my opponent to use their mana to put this Ice Fang Quaddle in play, but then I Vial in the Island Walk Lord and they can't even block with it, and so they basically pay 2 mana for a cantrip. If I can do that as much as I can against these decks, it's great. If I am not mistaken, I attack with the Mutavault here because I do not want to get blown out by a Spell Snare. On my Silvergill Adept, that would be terrible. And, you know, attacking for 2 damage here, not bad. Not bad at all. And I can play a little patient here. I've got the Aether Vial, and we are going to build up a lot of damage over the next few turns. I can attack with Mutavault this turn without the risk of getting hit by Path to Exile. And then over the next 2 turns of playing Mutavault and Waterlog Grove, we're going to attack with those, and we'll get a Silvergill Adept in play. I think it's good. So if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to attack with this Mutavault. Getting hit with Spell Snare on your Silvergill Adept when you've got an Aether Vial is awful. It's just terrible. I recommend you don't do it. If that land came into play tapped, though, like if it was a Colonnade, I think I would play Silvergill Adept there and get the extra body on the board immediately, and get the extra card. Hollow Fountain comes to play tapped. All right, so more Mutavaults, not bad. So we're going to play Mutavault, attack with Mutavault. Okay, we're going to play Aether Vial first. Oh, another card we have to play around these days is also Mystical Dispute. So that's another reason not to like run into an island on turn 1. So again, we're just playing around all the counter spells. I forgot that you have to play around Mystical Dispute. Opponent has Field of Ruin, that's not a problem. We've got a million Mutavaults. And so now that we've got our Aether Vial at 2, we're going to use that invisible mana to get a Silver Gill Adept in play. Draw a Merfolk Mistbinder, which is good. Lords are not bad in this matchup. Island Walk Lords are better. Brazen Borrower is good, so I keep playing more Mutavaults because I expect one to bite the dust from Field of Ruin. So I want to have another one available by next turn. So we're going to attack with all the creatures. So one's going to get eaten up. Get an island. One gets Path. Okay, that's not a problem. Not a problem. I'm just going to deal my 2 damage. A lot of people might feel very inclined to Violent a Lord to get in 1 extra damage, but that's not important in these matchups. Against, decks with Supreme Verdict, you want to... That 1 extra damage is not worth getting hit with a 2-for-1. So you want to hold back your Lords. Play them at flash speed at end of turn with Aether Vial. And if I'm not mistaken, another Field of Ruin. Another Field of Ruin, ruining my day. If I'm not mistaken, I'm going to put the Mistbinder in play because this is the Lord that matters the least. I'm going to put both these. I'm going to put both of them R2. Play Waterlogged Grove. Having 3... Well, first off, I might be able... Usually I want to play my lands on my second main phase, but Waterlogged Grove can bluff Force Negation, but more importantly, I might be able to crack this for an answer if I really need to. Maybe I need to draw a Dismember for a Snapcaster Mage that's on the battlefield. Alright. Mutavault getting eaten. Get a land. Still 5 damage. Pass. So I really like the spot that we're in, because the moment our opponent taps out, even for Supreme Verdict, we can put 5 power on the board and be in a reasonable position to win the game anyway. We've got 2 creatures on the battlefield. I actually don't think there's any reason to apply more pressure unless we draw like a Silver Gill Adapt, so I'm going to crack the Waterlogged Grove. We get another Lord. I don't know what I do here. I think I still just take my turn. But maybe no, okay, I just take my turn. There's no reason to put more creatures on the battlefield. And I'm now even in a better spot if our opponent's Supreme Verdicts. Because now I can put 9 power in play at end of turn through the vials and just casting Brazen Borrower. Your Snapcaster Mage. Now I'm pretty sure that I just Violin my Island Walk Lord. They're going to path the Lord of Atlantis. That's fine. We're going to play the other Island Walk Lord. Still get in 7 damage. And our opponent goes to 2. And it puts them in just a very, very tough spot. Now they need like Supreme Verdict. And they need to be able to play around this Brazen Borrower at end of turn. I don't play the fetch land because I only have 5 islands in my deck. Oh no, but I can play this fetch land. I can get a Breeding Pool. Okay, that was a mistake. I should play this because I actually have something to fetch. I swear though, at the time I didn't play it because I thought I have nothing to fetch in my deck. I have 2 Breeding Pools that I can go get. Opponent plays Opt at end of turn. Alright, game continues. Draw another land, which sucks. Okay, so we're going to play the Cryptic game. I believe our opponent goes tap all creatures, draw a card. But they got to keep this up. They do have 6 mana, which means they can play Snapcaster Mage and keep this going for a little longer. I don't know what they did with their opt because I don't have the game chat open. The replay doesn't show me. So Winds of Abandon, overloaded. Exile each creature you don't control. For each creature exiled this way, its controller searches their library for a basic land card. Those players put those cards onto the battlefield tapped. And I'm like, awesome, because we've got the Brazen Borrower in hand. And I'm sure our opponent knew the writing was on the wall, but they didn't have any other option. They just had to go for it. So we just hard cast a Brazen Borrower and win. Alright, so that was game 2. Let's move on to game 3. As far as I'm concerned, this is a great hand on the... So I seems I've mixed... Yeah, okay, so I corrected my sideboarding. I got rid of the Shaper's Sanctuary and moved in a Relic, because Snapcaster Mage has to be more important than, say, Path to Exiles and... what's it called? Path to Exiles and Teferi Time Raveler. Shaper's Sanctuary can also protect your Mutavault from Field of Ruin. Or not protect, but if Mutavault's already a creature and they use Field of Ruin, then you would draw a card. But unfortunately, you can still Field of Ruin the Mutavault with before it actually becomes a creature. Like if I go to activate my Mutavault and they use Field of Ruin, then I won't draw a card. So anyway, I corrected my sideboarding error. Put in the Relic that we have here. 1 Relic. But on the draw, this is good. Again, we got a Mutavault hand with Aether Vial, and on turn 2, I can play Relic. And Dismember, we drew Dismember. It's actually very clear. You got to keep your Dismembers against Stoneblade. It's very, very, very important. Opponent goes Opt. It's fine. So Dismember helps you Dismember Stoneforge Mystic. Helps. Like, the best is they activate Stoneforge Mystic. They cast Stoneforge Mystic for 2 mana, activate it for another 2 mana, put Batterskull in play, then you dismember the Batterskull Germ token, then they have to spend another 3 mana putting it back into their hand, and then another 2 mana putting it into play. That's so much mana. It just it just clogs up all their gameplay. It's terrible. So anyway, we draw lands, I play lands. I play the Relic. I think it's reasonable to start eating up my opponent's graveyard. I can start attacking with this Mutavault next turn. Oh, and I don't really want to attack with the Mutavault because there's always the chance I can get Path to Exiled, and I don't think that's good. Ideally, you don't want your Mutavault Path to Exiled. You want these creatures Path to Exiled. Your Mutavault is like invincible against Supreme Verdict and Teferi Time Raveler and Winds of Abandon apparently. So you do want to hold on. The Mutavaults I think are a little bit more important. It's going to get eaten up by Field of Ruin anyway. Draw Brazen Borrower. I really like having cards like Trickster and Brazen Borrower. I mean, Brazen Borrower can bounce the Germ token, which makes Dismember just as good. Like it's just as effective as Dismember when you're trying to beat a Germ token. But also, this is something I can cast with mana if in the event our opponent plays Supreme Verdict, and then also we can still vial something in play. So we're definitely a lot more patient in this game than last time. Why do I not attack with Mutavault? I think I don't attack with Mutavault because I want all 3 mana available, and the chances that my opponent plays Field of Ruin this turn is super high, so there's no point spending a mana when my opponent's just going to Field of Ruin it anyway. And there's some chance I might want to cast Brazen Borrower, or even like have mana up for Relic and then play Merfolk Trickster. So I want the 3 mana. So we do lose our Mutavault. There's no point in trying to entice our opponent to activate. It was going to happen anyway. Here comes the Colonnade, but now we can start getting the beatdown going. Here's Teferi. If I'm not mistaken, I think I play Merfolk Trickster in response. Oh, I play Brazen Borrower instead. Okay, I play Brazen Borrower. And they take my Aether Vial away. Or did I have that plan? If they take the Aether Vial, I can at least deploy the Aether Vial and play a Merfolk Trickster with my mana. I don't remember if that was what I had in mind, but hey, it's going to work out. So we've got... The board is still really good. You know, we can survive a Teferi bouncing our stuff. Well, another thing is that Trickster also interacts favorably against Celestial Colonnade if that ever comes up. We also have a Dismember for the Colonnade anyway. I make our opponent exile a card. They play Path to Exile on their main phase. Serum Visions with a mana floating for some reason. Snapcaster Mage into Path? Okay. But I can exile it with the Relic, so the Relic is doing its job. We draw another Dismember, which is not bad. It's really not that bad. Don't remember what I do here. Maybe I play... I'm pretty sure I play a Trickster here. And then I save my Dismembers for Batterskull or something. What do I do here? If I were taking this game all over again, I'm either... Well, I mean, you can play one Lord and attack for a decent chunk of damage. But, you know, attacking for 5 here is not that bad. It's really not that bad. Yeah, attack for 5. You know, no... I think we're ahead. That's the deal. I think we're, like, super far ahead. Far enough ahead that there's no risk running into a Supreme Verdict here. Another Field of Ruin. No big deal. Draw a card. Another Waterlog Grove. Not bad. If you're gonna draw lands, at least you can draw cards out of them. More Waterlog Groves. Now, do I crack this one though? Because at the very least, if my opponent has brought in something like Mystical Dispute, I want to be able to pay the 3 mana if I want to dismember something. So I decide to just attack with Merfolk Trickster, which forces them to kill this thing if they want to make a good block. They go for Vendilion Click. Alright. So here, I think I just let them see my hand. And then afterwards, I'm going to Violin one of the Lords that I get to keep. Because it doesn't, like, playing anything doesn't matter. If I play a Dismember, I still have a Dismember. So might as well let them take something. So they take one of the Lords. Unfortunately, I draw a Donut. So let's Violin our Island Walk Lord. Gets pathed. I'm going to crack the Waterlog Grove to see if I can draw a Force of Negation. I don't. I draw a Lord, which is nice. But now I'm going to use this Dismember on the Vendilion Click. So that my opponent has very unfavorable blocks. And we're grinding out our opponent. They've got 2 cards left in hand. They do have a Colonnade on the battlefield. Not a big deal. Now they've lost their Snapcaster Mage. Ooh, now do I kill the Snapcaster Mage? I think I do. Because this is one of our... Like, Merfolk Trickster is one of our very few threats left after that Path to Exile. Like, I know there's a Colonnade here, but we can deal with that just with Island Walk. Or do I let this exchange... Okay, I let the exchange happen. I decide I'm going to just win with this Lord of Atlantis versus this Colonnade. I do have more threats. I do have more threats than my opponent. So I couldn't remember the line there. I'm a little terrified of Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. That would be terrible here. But I don't think that's something they play. Oh, they were actually thinking about attacking with the Colonnade, but then they realized that I have Dismember in hand because they saw it with the Vendilion Click. So Trickster was a great draw. Can't remember what the necessity of cracking the Waterlog Grove was. Because I probably won't play anything that I draw. Can't even play a Mutavault. If I'm not mistaken, I think I play Lord of Atlantis, because I can still use Trickster to tap down creatures. Nope, forget it. Let's just play Merfolk Trickster. Can't remember. They're both very close. Alright, let's start the beatdown. And... Oh, I clicked through my turn. I'm supposed to play this Mutavault. Or did I play Waterlog Grove and then crack it for... I don't remember what happened. Let's move on. Let's move on. Oh, no, no, no. I don't play Mutavault because they've got Field of Ruin out. That's why. Okay, it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. They have Field of Ruin out. This is colorless mana. I should just let them choke on their colorless mana. Like, they only have one white mana to activate Colonnade and then nothing else. I want to limit... Like, if this thing's going to die anyway, like, there's no point in letting them use the Field of Ruin. So I should only start playing Mutavaults when I start, like, drawing, like, multiple Mutavaults. At this stage of the game, there's no point in letting them, like... And we've maxed out on the islands that we can draw. So the Field of Ruin, like, playing this Mutavault does us no good, except it lets our opponent filter their draws, find the right mana. We have no more islands that we can find. We've maxed out here. Alright, attack for 5. Alright, just plan on beating our opponent down. Alright, here comes the Colonnade. Before blocks. Attempt to kill it. They Path to Exile Lord of Atlantis, sure, no problem. We have nothing to go get. Get a Master of the Pearl Trident on the battlefield so I can at least have a 2-turn clock. I'm drawing relatively well. I mean, we've drawn through tons of our lands anyway, so... Which is what happens in these... It's nice to have a lot of islands, at least 4, in these Path to Exile matchups, so that, you know, between Field of Ruin, Path to Exile, and stuff... Look, now they're going after our breeding pool, which is good for us, because now we can play the mute... Oh, that was a big mistake on their part. They did that on our main phase, not end of turn, and they're going to get punished, because now I get to play the... You get priority back if you do it at the end of my main phase. So now I get to play the Mutavault. Now they're super dead. But they were probably in desperation mode anyway, so it didn't matter. Anyway, so that our opponent can do anything they want. I don't care. So they play Jace, look at the top card, and there's probably nothing. So, that was the first round of this Modern Challenge. 7 more to go. You know, fasten your safety belt. Get comfortable, because we've got a long Modern Challenge ahead. That's round 1. Let's move on to round 2. We won the die roll. This hand, I think, is clunky on the play, but it's still fine. With one land Vile hands, what you really want to look at is, like, what can you do on turn 2 if you don't get another land? And I can actually play Force of Negation, so I can if my hand is just full of non-land cards, we can afford to lose a card to slow our opponent down. And then eventually when we get Aether Vial on 2, I can start, like, spitting out creatures. Ideally, probably I'm going to Force of Negation pitch Brazen Borrower, because I want the Lord to back up my my board. So anyway, this is a keep. Even on the play, so we play our Aether Vial and pass. Once upon a time. And they found Reality Smasher. So we're up against Eldrazi Tron. They play Expedition Map, and like I said, and I actually think this should be the default play now. I'm not in love with Force Negation in this matchup, but I think we should, like, whether it's Tron or Eldrazi Tron, I am snapping off Force Negation against Expedition Map. Expedition Map either is going to help them find big mana, help them get turn 3 to Thought-Knot Seer by on turn 2 looking for Eldrazi Temple. Like, regardless, doesn't matter what their land is. They go Urza's Mine into Wastes. They can find Eldrazi Temple, get that turn 3 Thought-Knot Seer, which is always a problem. They could at least find Blast Zone, which is always going to be a problem against us. So I don't think there's any reason to let Expedition Map ever resolve if I have the chance to counter it. Same thing against normal Tron. That was perfect. That was just perfect. So now we actually have something to do on this turn, even though we have nothing to do. Drawing Kumena Speaker is nice. So our opponent plays Urza's Tower. Makes me a little nervous. Maybe they have natural Tron. At the very least, we prevented Tron for sure by countering the Expedition Map. Draw another Aether Vial, which is not good. If they play Karn, I mean, that's just enough. Like, 1 is enough. Attack for 2. Don't remember what I do. I'm pretty sure I play Silvergill Adept here. So why not? we draw Mystery Rainforest, and I play another Silvergill Adept. So everything working great. And notice I don't get a breeding pool. Your life total does matter in a matchup like this. You never know when you need like an extra 2 points of life against like a bunch of Reality Smashers and Thought-Knot Seers. So I don't go get green mana, and I just depend on this Ether Vial for green mana. And I draw green mana anyway, so who cares? So now we got a little bit of a board. Vulnerable to Walking Ballista, but can't play around everything. I mean, we got Silvergill Adept. Frankly, I mean, they got Dismembers and Spatial Contortions. So they play another Urza's Tower. Really slow start. They for sure would play something by now. Well, I mean, they would have Tron by now if we let Expedition Map resolve. So I draw Lord of Atlantis. Now I'm like, this hand's great. This hand's really good. If I'm not mistaken, I'm going to play the Lord here. Oh, I don't. Is there any reason not to? It might have been because they're going to die anyway if they don't have any good response. They don't have all his dust. Oh, if they play a Tron land and they go Karn into Ensnaring Bridge, and then, I don't know, play double Chalice on 0, they might be able to get their cards in hand low enough, because they go to 7, play a land, go to 6, play Karn, go to 5, get Bridge, play Bridge, still at 5, double Chalice, go to 3, and then, or even one shot. The point is, if I keep the creature's power low enough, I may not snap lose to our bridge. I don't know if that's something worth playing around, but that's what I decided to do here. So they have nothing else to do. They play Thought-Knot Seer. They're going to see what I have on the battlefield, and they just die. Yeah, anyway, nice hand to have against Eldrazi Tron, and it just shows that if you slow their early start down with their Expedition Map, if they don't get to their mana, if they don't get their good mana, the deck is just super clunky. It's a pretty clunky deck. Anyway, that was round 1. Let's move on to round 2. Anyway, this is game 2. Our hand is acceptable. They play Once Upon a Time again. Oh, let's look at the sideboard strategy. View sideboard. I take out the Force Negations. I think this is an attrition-based matchup, and I know that Force Negation helped us last time. I don't know exactly the lists running Once Upon a Time, the green Eldrazi Trons. Maybe they're running less removal. But like they usually have a bunch of Spatial Contortions, Dismembers, Blast Zone, Walking Ballista. So anyway, I don't want to 2-for-1 myself in this matchup. Took out 2 Commander Speakers. Having aggro starts can be nice, but especially on the draw, the two power creature is just going to get outclassed by the Thought-Knot Seer or Reality Smash or Matter Reshaper blocking it, and it's just going to be about more powerful cards. And again, because this is an attrition-based matchup, I got rid of a snow-covered island. I brought in, it appears, 2 Shaper Sanctuaries, which is going to be good against that removal, and also really good against Walking Ballista. Although I think I only believe in 1. I don't know if I want 2, because it's so easy to hit with Blast Zone. I can Blast Zone both of them. What else did I side in? Oh, the 2... I sided out 5 cards. I brought in 2 Damping Spheres, 2... Shaper Sanctuaries, 1 of something else. I don't know what that last one thing is. Something good. Anyway, our opponent starts off with Eldrazi Temple. Great. Just lovely. So find an island, play our Ether Vial. Alright, no turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer, thank God. Draw a Lord. Let's just play some... Oh, I don't play anything? I play no Lords. That seems ridiculous. Maybe my intention was to bounce something. Oh, I know what I was thinking. If my opponent did not play any... Look how good I played this event. I can't even replicate it how good I was playing. If my opponent didn't have anything to do on turn 1, nothing to do on turn 2, they've got removal in hand. They've got tons of removal. So why do I want to let my opponent use that removal and then like let them use their mana and then untap and then play Thought-Knot Seer? What I want is them to play the Thought-Knot Seer and then be tapped out, and then I want to empty my hand and make it very difficult for them to use their removal and cast creatures at the same time in the future. So that's what I was thinking. So I don't play anything, and I might be playing this really patiently until my opponent gives me the go-ahead of tapping out to do something. And then hopefully I like dismember it and then just start unleashing creatures. There was a chance I could play this thing untapped so I can play Brazen Borrower instead. Because I could, let's say they play Reality Smasher here, then I play Brazen Borrower, play a Lord, whatever. And then actually if they play Reality Smasher, I think I'd just still rather dismember it. Because that's going to be a lot of damage. I have to take 5 and then take another 4 in the future. That's ugly. So they play Reality Smasher. Pretty sure I dismember this. Discarding maybe the Brazen Borrower? Yeah. Brazen Borrower is the most vulnerable card in this matchup. Can die to Walking Ballista. It's not bad. It's not that bad, though. It's not that bad. It flies over the creatures. So now that our opponent's tapped out, let's get the creatures in play. Let's go. We don't have time here. I draw Spreading Seas. I definitely am going to play that. I don't... Or maybe I don't play that. Maybe I gamble. Okay, I'm not... I definitely don't play that. We're just going to, like, empty our hand. Attack our opponent. If they don't have, like, Tron now, then I guess it doesn't matter. We just play Spreading Seas later. There's very few... Like, if they play Thought-Knot Seer, I can still dismember it and clear away for the creatures, so it's not that big of a deal. But anyway, they got Tron mana now. So either they top deck this, or they were just sandbagging it the entire time. I don't know. So they have a lot of mana. They have a lot of mana. What did they decide to do with it? Decide to play an Ugin the Ineffable. Ineffable. You can't F it. Colorless spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. They decide to go for a Reality Smasher. They destroy one of my permanents. Comes another Reality Smasher. If I'm not mistaken, I'm just going to take my turn because I want to at least play Spreading Seas on the Tron mana. Breeding Pool is fine because I can use that to... Oh, is this where I make a mistake? I can't remember if I play Breeding Pool and like screw up. No, I don't. Okay, so we're going to Spreading Seas the tower. Okay, and then we're going to lose the Breeding Pool to dismember. Maybe it was in a league I like accidentally played my land. I'm pretty sure I get rid of this Ugin and attack our opponent for 3. I'm still relatively happy with my position. Our opponent Ghost Quarters their Urza's Tower. Which, you know, whatever. Cast Once Upon a Time. I'm feeling still pretty happy. We have 6 power in play. I have a Brazen Borrower for almost anything that they cast. I mean, sorry, unless it's Thought-Knot Seer. Matter Shaper, great, perfect, and I draw Kumena Speaker. Like you can't write this up any better. I bounce, get in for 6. Opponent's down to 7. They're on the ropes. Play Kumena Speaker. Tectonic Edge. They still have limited mana. Matter Reshaper is back. But now they play Walking Ballista on 2. And that is actually pretty awkward at this point. That's pretty awkward. I don't have very good attacks, because if I attack, they can just block my Island Walk Lords. I might get in for 4 damage, but then I lose... Well, sorry. They can block with Matter Reshaper. Walking Ballista can block my Kumena Speaker. Then the Walking Ballista can shoot Master of Pearl Trident for 2. They only take 3 instead, and then they lose out. And then I lose both my... Lords. Draw a Damping Sphere. It's not particularly important right now. And the problem is if I use my Waterlog Grove to look for something, then I can't play Brazen Borrower. If I remember, I just attack with it. I think I attack with everything here. Because I want to get this Walking Ballista off the battlefield. So I'm going to lose both my creatures. And I'm hoping that this 3 damage plus the Brazen Borrower is going to carry me to victory. They found a waste. It's no big deal. I think I just pass. Blast Zone. Well, that sucks. And Karn the Great Creator. I don't know at what point they had this, but anyway, they have Karn the Great Creator. We have a Brazen Borrower in exile. Snaring Bridge. So we're not dead, but 2 of our Brazen Borrowers are already used. So now we have to play this Brazen Borrower and then hope for the best. Can't attack with anything. Oh yeah, I have to cast this because my Ether Vial is locked out because of Karn. Alright, so now we're just looking for... We're literally just looking for a Brazen Borrower. I think there's nothing else that can help us here. Wormcoil Engine. Alright, we are very quickly looking for this Brazen Borrower. Spreading Seas. Great. I think I put on Blast Zone. Island. Great. Pass. So our opponent can gain 6. We only attack back for 8. Not good. Draw a Silvergill Adept. Not good. Oh, sorry. Our opponent can't attack because there's Ensnaring Bridge. Island. Not good. I can play a Damping Sphere, though. Hurrah. Where did the Karn go? Karn went to go get, I think... Oh, another Walking Ballista. So that's not good news. So that's basically... That's game. We're not going to beat this stupid thing. And I just concede. So that's the power of Eldrazi Tron. You think you're about to win, and then your opponent just destroys you with a... they finally empty their hand, play Karn, and then you're facing down an Ensnaring Bridge. Anyway, so it's a dangerous matchup. So anyway, we'll move on to game 3. So we've got a reasonable hand. What makes this hand good is the Damping Sphere. The thing is, Lords are very important in this matchup because they can race, they can if you have enough Lords in play, you can get bigger than their Eldrazi Tron creatures. This is sort of like a bunch of piddly crap. The good thing about Brazen Borrower is that it at least can fly over the opponent, so that's good. But you need 3 mana for it. All things considered, I think it's still a good hand. I keep it on the play. Opponent starts off with Urza's Power Plant, and we're going to start off with Damping Sphere. Screw your Eldrazi Temple. So, just to let everyone know, I think it's worth bringing in 2 Damping Spheres against Eldrazi Tron, but not anything more than that. I think it's a nice sweetener to hit their deck. It's just not the core thing that will beat them. And if you start flooding out on Damping Spheres, it sucks. It's not good. So I have brought in like 4 in against them before, and like you got 1, but then you draw a second and third one. It's not good. The second and third are meaningless. So I don't mind bringing in 2, but no more than that. If somehow you have more in your sideboard. Or I would not put more in your sideboard thinking that they are so good against Eldrazi Tron. It's a good card. It's a good card. Like if our opponent has Tron mana, then they're in trouble. We're going to hold on to the Spreading Seas for as long as possible. Because we still want to hit Blast Zone if we ever get the opportunity. Blast Zone on 1 is not too bad right now, but of course Blast Zone on 2 is always the best. So I'm happy our opponent plays something, because it's something to Trickster down. Get him for more damage. Also, like, of course, we still want to... Ideally, I want to hold on to Brazen Borrower for as long as I can. Because this is a card that can bounce Ensnaring Bridge. I'm not sure what I do here, but it's probably Commander Speaker and hold up the Petty Theft on Brazen Borrower. Nope. If I draw an Island Walk Lord, I would play Spreading Seas. So we're doing good with our piddly garbage. Thought-Knot Seer. And with that on the stack, we're going to Petty Theft the Thought-Knot Seer. Unfortunately, they're going to take a beautiful Spreading Seas. Not that beautiful. Oh yeah, and I'm put at a really awkward dilemma here. Because I do want to attack with everything. I want to put maximum damage on my opponent, but if I attack with the Mutavault, then I can't cast Brazen Borrower. And if I can't cast Brazen Borrower, then I'm only attacking for 4 damage this turn, which I don't know is worth it. It's a tough spot. It's a tough spot. I believe in the end I opt to attack for the most, because if I rip like an island, if I rip a Lord, I can definitely win through like not a removal spell. I can just win through the Thought-Knot Seer blocking. Play land. If I remember correctly, I do not play the Ether Vial. I want to encourage my opponent to play Thought-Knot Seer again, and then oh, no, I don't. Did they know? No, they don't know about that. Okay, it didn't happen in this. It didn't happen in this game. There are definitely games where you want to encourage your opponent to replay Thought-Knot Seer to see what the last card in their hand is. Well, that's not good. Blast Zone can just wipe out like 2 of the threats on the battlefield. It's going to cost all the mana, but still better than nothing. And I lose my Ether. I lose all my Ether Vials. I think if I remember correctly, I was like praying for a land just so I can get the Brazen Borrower out, but you know, drawing a Lord is not bad either. So get our Mistbinder out, attack for 3. Still reasonable. Still empty-handed, and Brazen Borrower is lethal at this point. It's lethal. Ugin is back. It's gonna eat up my creature. What do I do? If I attack Ugin, then I don't have lethal by next turn. Whereas if I attack my opponent, put them down to 1, I at least can put myself into some position to win the game by next turn. But they can still put up 2 blockers, either with the Thought-Knot Seer and this. If I remember correctly, I'm going to attack my opponent, regretting, thinking, no, I have to attack this, right? Because if I attack this, because colorless spells cost 2 less to cast, then that lets my opponent have some ability to empty their hand, and that's not good for me. I don't remember what I do here. I mean, I know there's a Damping Sphere on the battlefield. Oh, I know what I do. I attack my opponent because I had to face down a stupid token. But I attack my opponent forgetting that colorless spells cost 2 less to cast, and I thought Thought-Knot Seer cost like just 2 mana. I mean, everything's going to cost more because of the Damping Sphere. So every extra time this Thought-Knot Seer is cast, it's going to cost 1 more. I draw another Brazen... That was brutal! Brutal, 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 brutal. Not what I wanted to happen. Alright, they put a Spirit in play. Karn the Great Crater. Well, that sucks. What did they choose? They went to get... Oh, I don't know yet. Wormcoil Engine. So, I mean, I have multiple problems here. They can still look for Ensnaring Bridge next turn. So I have to win. I can't win with Brazen Borrower because they're gonna mine us, look for Ensnaring Bridge, play it, play Wormcoil, play other things, and Brazen Borrower still will not get in for victory. So I need to win this turn. So I play the Waterlogged Grove, and I'm praying for Dismember. Oh, sorry, the chat thing is not there. The problem is I can't... Yeah, I just realized you can't see with a Karn very well. There's a Karn there. Problem is the replays don't automatically give me the my chat window, which squishes the game over. So we need Dismember. I draw Dismember. This was the top deck of the tournament. If there was ever a top deck I needed, here it is. We Dismember this stupid spirit, and we attack for lethal. Ta-da! That's how you do it. If you wanna make top 8 in these modern challenges, you need to get lucky. This was the rare time I would say that I'm like, Dismember, 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 give it to me! And I got what I asked for. You ask and you shall receive. So anyway, that was round 2. Let's move on to round 3. So we won the die roll. This hand is unplayable. It's just a one-lander. This hand... Do I keep this? I think this is a mulligan as well. We've got no pressure. Like, we do have waterlogged groves, but we have, like, just not enough pressure. Against very specific matchups, maybe this is a keep. Maybe I kept this, but I think part of my plan to be a more aggressive mulliganer makes me mulligan this. What do I do? Okay, no, I keep it. But, like, this hand's risky because it's very reactive. Like, I know I have Waterlogged Grove as an extra way of drawing a card, but really, I don't have any... I've got no plan to win the game with this hand. So, this hand's now really bad because we're against Mill. Unfortunately, this Dismember actually has a target, though. What do I do here? I think I get the Trickster on the battlefield. We're going to tap this Hedron Crab at upkeep, so that they don't get the landfall trigger for the turn. And I also get my threat out as soon as possible. They play another Hedron Crab. They get a land out with Hideaway. They mill me for 3. Alright, tick this up. So it turns out now both my Dismembers are live, and actually killing this Hedron Crab is important. They, if they play a fetch land, crack it, they can, like, mill tons of cards. Overall, though, I'm not scared of this matchup. I'm pretty happy to be paired up against Mill here. They Fatal Push my Lord of Atlantis. Slight sad face, but we have an Aether Vial active with 2 Waterlogged Groves in play. Draw Silver Gill Adapt, sure, why not? Great. Draw Spreading Seas, useless. Go after the swamp. It is a black deck. Well, it's a Dimir deck, so they've got things like Fatal Push. They also, I think they run Drown in the Lock, so locking them out of some removal is useful. They Field of Ruin one of my Waterlogged Groves away. Get the black mana again. Glimpse the Unthinkable. Me. So now I have 35 cards in my library. Gotta pay attention to your library. Library's a resource here. I top deck Lord of Atlantis, it's perfect. Cracked Waterlogged Grove. Give me some information. I mean, I'm gonna crack it anyway to, like, play Commander Speaker if I can. They do have Drown in the... You see, I knew it. I knew they have Drown in the Lock. So they kill my Lord of Atlantis. Sad face. But, like, I'm not gonna complain. Looks like they're almost dead, and my library, which is basically your life total in this matchup, is very high. Draw Commander Speaker. I might not play a Lord here. There's a possibility I wouldn't play a Lord. I guess it doesn't matter. If they kill this, they take 4 damage, and they're close to dead anyway. They see the Commander Speaker, and they decide not to draw anymore. So anyway, that was round 1 against Mill. Let's move on around. That was the first match against Mill. Move on to the second. Okay, so first things first. Let's look at the sideboard. So something of note, there are 14 cards in my sideboard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 14. I decided to go up to 61 cards in this matchup. Because it's mill, so like one of their ways of beating you is through milling your deck, and hey, having an extra one or two cards in your main deck is perfectly reasonable in my opinion. If like it's not going to change too much the ratio of your cards. It's a little attrition based, so I mean having an extra few like threats is good. I think it's good. I decided to keep two Dismembers in my deck to fight off not only Hedron Crab, but also Jace's Phantasm, which is a pretty normal card in their deck to beat you down with. So keeping some Dismembers is reasonable. I kept two in the deck. What did we bring in? We brought in Shaper Sanctuary because they do kill our creatures. They do attack the creatures. So out 2Cs into Shaper Sanctuary. Out one Dismember Brazen Borrower for... Really need to have my list available. No, Brazen Borrower was already in the sideboard. Or no, it wasn't. I got the wrong list here. Where's my list? Give me a second. Give me a second. I brought in Relic. I brought in Relic because they've got... well, first off, they play with the card... It's the one... Visions from Beyond. One blue, draw a card, but draw 3 cards if a graveyard has 20 or more cards or something like that. Something to that effect. If they've milled enough cards, then it's going to be good. And also there is this Crypt Incursion card. What's it called? I don't know if it's that card. There's a black and 2 colorless, exile all creature cards from all graveyards or target player's graveyard, something to that effect, and gain 2 life for every creature removed this way. So in response, if you relic everything away, they don't gain any life. What else did we bring in? Force of Negation. So I brought in more cards than I took back. I put back. I put back the Brazen Borrower. 1, 2, 3, 4. Brought in 5, took out 4. But there's against Mill, it's not wrong to like top your library up a little bit more than usual. Not bad at all. So we do face off against a Jace's Phantasm. It can get big. I mean, it's a 5/5 flying creature. This is it's nothing to sneeze at. And I'm going to shock myself. Although it won't change the clock of Jace's Phantasm. Unless there's a second one. So they glimpse the unthinkable me. I can't do anything about it. Just got to let it happen. Now we're facing off against a 5/5 flyer. Now, the good news is we do have Merfolk Trickster. Do I immediately... No, I don't. I'm going to take some time to attack our opponent. Or do I? I have to play something here. I don't. I think this line with I'm doing this for Merfolk Trickster, but I think it's really risky. Oh, I went to play Brazen Borrower instead. And buy myself more time. Okay. Now, the reason the Merfolk Trickster line is very risky is if I play Merfolk Trickster with Jace's Phantasm attacking, make it lose flying, make it lose like +4/+4. If they play Fatal Push or something on my Trickster, then it's pointless. So anyway, by playing Petty Theft here, I'm not going to buy myself a lot of time to play like probably Lord of Atlantis, attack for 3, and then on my 4th turn I can play Silvergill Adapt into Merfolk Trickster. And then if they attack, I should at least have at least 2 creatures available to block. Anyway, they play Drown in the Log. That sucks. Well, I have Force of Negation. Now I might be risky with this Trickster. Or not. Okay, screw it. I'm just going with the original plan that I had. Lord of Atlantis. And I'm playing my cards out this way because I'm trying to find a way to completely curve out with this Mutavault. Usually, Silver Gill Adept is a pretty good thing to play on turn 4 if you have 4 mana and play one of them's a Mutavault, because it's hard to use. Let's say I play Silver Gill Adept this turn, then I can't, with this Mutavault in play, I can't play Lord of Atlantis and Merfolk Trickster on turn 4. So you have to find some way to empty your hand if Mutavault is one of your mana sources. Okay, we're going to race this Jace's Phantasm. Bring it! We're at 2. What a lovely life total to be at. I mean, we have the life to give. Who cares? They Fatal Push the Lord of Atlantis. Not a big deal yet. Not a big deal. I draw another Trickster. That is good, because that at least lets me pitch something to force some negation if necessary. So, they're going to see the Trickster. But, like, whatever. What can I do? Visions of Beyond. That's what it's called. Draw a card. If a graveyard has 20 or more cards in it, draw 3 cards instead. Another Visions of Beyond. My graveyard only has 13 cards, so they're getting very bad value off of this. So they attack again. I let them attack because I want to kill this stupid thing. And now I double block it to play around a 1 removal spell. They kill Silver Gill Adept. Glimpse the Unthinkable again. I just let it resolve. I don't care. I am certainly going to kill them with all this stuff I have on the battlefield right now. Attack for 9. And we've got Force Negation for any garbage. Crypt Incursion! Exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard. So it is target player. Gain 3 life. Oh, it's 3 life for each card exiled this way. And we've got Force Negation for it. Would it have been even that bad? We might have been able to race. It's like what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They go up to 36 life. Maybe it buys them a little bit more time than I want it to, but sometimes when you have enough lords in play, like, it doesn't matter. It saves them a few turns, but you can still race it. But it's still annoying. I mean, it does buy them a lot of turns. So that was round 3 versus Mill. Good matchup. Good matchup for Merfolk, I think, especially if you can anticipate a lot of their tricks and traps that they do. Just be aware of Crypt Incursion. Be aware of Ensnaring Bridge. They do play Ensnaring Bridge. I didn't see it in this game, but they do play that card. Be aware of... So you need to max out on... Did I have max? Oh, that was a mistake. I should have that in the deck. That's a mistake. So be aware of that. Be aware of Jace's Phantasm. Be aware of... Yeah, Crypt Incursion, Jace's Phantasm, and Snaring Bridge. That's everything you should be aware of. And maybe go up. You can go to 61, 62 cards. If I could take this back, I would just play 62 cards with Brazen Borrower. No problem. More cards the merrier. So anyway, that was round 3. Let's move on to round 4. So we lost the die roll, and the hand is okay. It's okay. We have two threats. Play my Flash Speed. We can play a Force Negation at 3 mana. Not the greatest hand, but you know what? I'll take it. So our opponent plays turn 1 Teleria West. So we are up against Amulet. So I would love to have a turn 1 creature. We don't get the turn 1 creature. We have an Ether Vial, so it's not that bad. At the very least, we have a decent clock here now. We have a decent clock. Amulet of Vigor. I'm going to let that resolve. I'm not happy to see it resolve. But the most important thing to counter with Force of Negation is going to be things like Summoner's Pact, Engineered Explosives. Also, I would have preferred to have been on the play. We do draw Commander Speaker at just the right time, right when the Ether Vial is at 1. So now I'm happy. Now I'm happy. I can't get any more happier than this. I just have to try to dodge our opponent from having a super busted start. So they've got a Zuza, which is not good. They can just now empty their hand of lands. They're going to transmute for the Summoner's Pack, so they're getting ready. I play Commander Speaker. Oh yeah. Okay, so now I'm put at like this really tough decision here between putting enough creatures on the battlefield to kill my opponent. I like sank a lot of time into this. Do I put enough creatures on the battlefield to kill my opponent? Because what I can do is I can hard cast a Force Negation for 3 mana and then use a second Force Negation pitching my Merfolk Mistbinder. Because we have it like a somewhat decent clock, but like our opponent can buy some time by like chump blocking some stuff. Oh no, they can. We have Island Walk with the Breeding Pool. I attack for... I can put Master of the Pearl Trident, attack for 7. It's a 3-turn clock, not a 2-turn clock. I do want to kill my opponent as soon as possible, but like... And on top of that, if my opponent just naturally has Primeval Titan in hand right now, I can still play the Merfolk. I think I can still play the Merfolk Mistbinder and win. Maybe not, because they can like look... They can play Primeval Titan and find, what's it called? Oh, they would probably just wipe my board, because they can look for, I'm pretty sure that they can find a bounce land, play it a few times with Urza, play Engineered Explosives, and then wipe my board. So if they naturally have Primeval Titan... Anyway, those were the decisions that I had in my mind. I ended up going to empty my hand to maximize damage. So no tricks with, what's it called? Radiant Fountain. I'm hoping to get outside of Radiant Fountain range, and I'm hoping to just one Force Negation on their Summoner's Pack. So I do use it, but I had the option to hard cast and then have another one with Merfolk Mistbinder. Now, I'll tell you where I screwed up. I forgot that the Teleria West was on the battlefield. And knowing this now, I should take the line of just holding up a Force of Negation and have a second one available. Because now what my opponent is going to do is put the stupid Teleria West in their hand. They're going to gain a bunch of mana with the Simic Growth Chamber. And now they're just going to look for another Summoner's Pact. So I do screw up there. I mean, do I know that they have a Simic Growth? I don't think I know that they have Simic Growth Chamber in hand. But it's not unreasonable to have. So given that there's a Teleria West on the battlefield, the best line was certainly to get the best line was to hold up Force Negation for a second Summoner's Pact. Anyway, this is basically over. The only thing I can hope for is that my opponent is going to keep the island in play. Hold on, what goes on here? They should have one more land drop. Something wrong with the replayer. I think something's wrong with the replayer. That breeding pool got bounced. That breeding pool. So I'm sorry. Something's going wrong with the replayer. Sometimes it glitches out. That breeding pool definitely got bounced, and this game is not continuing as a result of that. I don't remember exactly what happened at the end of this, but this breeding pool got bounced because they had a bounce land in play, and I did not have Island Walk, and they could. I'm pretty sure that breeding pool got bounced. Anyway, this game did not continue. I'm pretty sure I lose it. I'm pretty sure I lose game 1, and we have to go on to game 2. So I like to go first. Let's look at the sideboard. I do bring in 2 Chalice of the Voids. I think it's fine to put on 0 because a lot of the lines between playing Summoner's Pact and also playing Teleria West to find Summoner's Pact all eventually revolve around getting this thing on 0. I know my opponent's going to be bringing in things like Reclamation Sage, Beast Within. Pretty sure they're going to bring in Beast Within against us. So we want that. I took out all the Dismembers because it's fine. Like, it's fine hitting, say, the Elysian Grove, Dryad of Elysian Grove. But at the same time, you want to see that card, so you have Island Walk. They'll always get... The problem with killing something like Dryad of Elysian Grove is they'll always get value off of it. So, same thing with Azusa. Azusa comes into play, they're going to get value. They're going to get extra lands in play. So the value of Dismember is a lot weaker. I'd rather try to attack on a different angle. Now, we still keep some Spreading Seas in the deck, because I do want Island Walk if they have like a million... What's it called? A million of those tokens, like zombie tokens from Field of the Dead, or they play a Hornet Queen or some crap like that. Took out 2 Force of Negations. I think because I'm bringing in Chalice of the Void, I might not have had enough room. What else did I bring in? I brought in... Damping Sphere and Ashiok. Okay, those are the really super important ones. You want to bring in Damping Sphere and Ashiok. Damping Sphere hits their mana a little bit. Not as much as it used to, because this is playing with Valakut and Field of the Dead, but still useful. Especially when they go for their turn with Summoner's Pact into Primeval Titan. It's going to tax the Titan a little bit more. Also, it stops Castle Garenbrig. And Ashiok just prevents her opponent from looking into their deck at all. So that's why I sideboarded as I did. Pretty sure I keep... This hand looks good. This hand's fine. It's full of 1-drops. It's a good 1-land hand. Why? Because we have stuff to do on turn 2. I can play 2... It's actually pretty premium. We can play 2 drops and play this Chalice. Although I think I wait on playing the Chalice. My opponent finds Radiant Fountain. And they've got Secure Tribe Scout. Honestly, I'm waiting to see what happened in game 1. I might have won, but maybe I didn't. This was all played like a week ago, so they get the Dryad out really quickly. Well, I'm not thrilled to see that, but whatever. And they bounce their Radiant Fountain, so they're on a... They're actually doing pretty well here, with life gain. I draw pretty badly with this Aether Vial. That's not good. Well, okay, so one advantage is I can take this Vial up to 3 and get these Brazen Borrowers in play, but ideally I want to start... I would like to bounce some stuff. Azusa. So long as my opponent just has a bunch of these creatures but no actual kill condition, that's going to be good for us. I do need to get some damage in, so I believe... I'm like 99% sure I take this Vial up to 3 because I need to... You just need to get pressure on the battlefield, and given the state of my hand, I need to get more creatures in play. Oh, I shocked myself. I'm going to Petty Theft something. Oh yeah, so if they make a double block, I can make the appropriate Petty Theft bounce. Reclamation Sage on our Chalice of the Void. Oh, I thought it was going to hit the Chalice of the Void, but they go after my Aether Vial in 1. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's a great move. Like, if I draw an Island Walk Lord, I'm just going to cast it. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. If I'm going to guess, Petty Theft on Dryad, and then I Vial in 1 Brazen Borrower. And so, at the very least, whatever our opponent does next turn, it's going to eat up their mana, to at least some of their mana to recast that Dryad. And also, again, their blocks are not the most beautiful here. I don't remember. Maybe I just attack with one of these. Maybe I just attack with the Brazen Borrower. I mean, I can't attack into the 2/4 creature anyway. Your guess is as good as mine. Alright, attack with everything. Taking an aggressive line. They can only they can trade with 2 things, but I'll get more stuff off the battlefield. But I don't know if that's bad. But I need to... Okay, I do need to be aggressive. I need to push through damage. So trading these creatures is not too bad. So even if they double blocked and I hit, I don't know, maybe the Azusa. I don't know which one's more important. Maybe the Sakura Tribe Scout because it can vial. They can play these Gruul Turfs at instant speed. Getting the creatures off the battlefield, pushing extra damage is going to be important, especially if they're already signifying they don't have Titan. They've got enough mana in play, or do they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are they just short one? Okay, Titan or no Titan, Titan's not on the battlefield. Yeah, they're okay. They're short a mana. Brazen Borrower, get that damage in. Island Walk Lord, all of that stuff is meaningless. Okay, so I did lose game one. And through the glitch of the replayer, we could not see it. But they played a bounce land and put the breeding pool into their hand, and I never got Island Walk from that point on ever again. And then they completely stayed. I don't even remember. They had a big turn that turn. They did a lot of stuff. But anyway, I won game 2, and we'll move on to game 3. Hand is good. Hand is good, in my opinion. It's okay. So it's a bit of a tricky hand. Okay, and we're going to be very careful here. Okay. Pay very close attention and listen to this analysis. I remember what happens here. I do not play turn 1 Ether Vial. This is one of those rare moments. Happens once every 100 matches. I don't know, maybe once every 200 matches, but it does happen. It happens in always situations where you've got a turn 1 play, you got a turn 2 Lord, you have a piece of disruption. But playing Ether Vial first isn't useful because your clock will be slower. Whereas if I play Commander Speaker on turn 1, Lord turn 2, my clock will be faster. Like, I have no hand to unload here. But I don't want to throw the hand away. I got turn 1, I got a turn 1 play, a turn 2 play, a reasonable clock very early, very powerful disruptive card that I also don't want to toss away. And the Waterlogged Grove can cycle, but even if this was an island, I think I would keep this hand anyway, because it has a lot of potential. Strong sideboard card and a strong start. I don't want to mulligan it. So in this situation, 3 lands Ether Vial, we are keeping, and we are not playing Ether Vial on turn 1. Even on the draw. I draw a Brazen Borrower, no big deal. Like, even how this hand plays out, I can just play Ether Vial on turn 3, and it should make a big difference. I would really have to peel 100% creatures from here, and especially 2-drops. And even if I do, I still might be able to curve out anyway with the lands that I have. Or I guess, yeah, it has to be 100%. If I draw 1 land, I can just cast my cards anyway. So I start this game off with Commander Speaker. Rare! This is rare. You don't do this normally. This is not, it is unusual play. But it happens. It happens. Like, I've been fighting the Merfolk community for forever. There are these niche situations where you do not play Ether Vial on turn 1. It is not a 100% slam dunk, and almost always, I would say that the situation is always, I have a 1-drop creature, I have a Lord, or maybe a really good 2-drop creature for the matchup. A very good piece of disruption, whether it's a form of a counter spell against a deck where you only, say, Neoform, if I had Force of Negation. And there's no point in playing the Ether, and it has Ether Vial in 3 lands. This is always, in my opinion, the common spot. Your clock will be fastest if you do not play the Ether Vial. That's the point. So our opponent has a pretty slow start, and they've got this Waterlogged Simic Growth Chamber. Now, I don't remember what I do here. I think I play the Damping Sphere because I don't think they have anything to do on turn 2, and this will turn into colorless mana. I think I play the Damping Sphere. And then next turn, I will play Ether Vial into Lord of Atlantis. Now, given how this hand is playing out, maybe the Ether Vial on turn 1 would have been best. But I'm not sure. I would have to calculate it. But there's still a lot of like non-creatures in my deck that I can draw. I mean, including the Spreading Seas that we just drew. So I attack for 3. Oh, I screwed this up! Wow, I'm just noticing right now I screwed this up. I should play Ether Vial first and then play the Damping Sphere. Instead, now I've got this Ether Vial stranded in my hand. That was a punt. That was a punt, but I got paid off because my opponent plays Force of Vigor on this thing. pitching Primeval Titan. Okay, so that was lucky. It was, I'm lucky that I did not play my Ether Vial on turn 1, or not on this turn, but I should have. I should have got 2 for 1 here. Or sorry, 2 for 2. Dryad of Elysian Grove. That is actually totally fine because we've got a handful of lords. And I just play Lord and attack. And we're going to hold up Petty Theft if our opponent goes for Primeval Titan into, what's it called, Valakuts, because they most certainly can do that at this point. And what the thing about Valakut is it's going to check on resolution. Like, there's triggers when it enters the battlefield, but it's going to check on resolution whether if there's still like more than 5 mountains in play. So they play Primeval Titan. One of my fears was that my opponent would find, what's it called? One of the fears was they were going to look for Radiant Fountain and replay it a few times because I only have 10 power in play. If they can play extra land drops with Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Oh, I guess they can't do that right now. I guess they could find Radiant Fountain and copy it with Vesuva. That would be a concern. They go to 12. From their perspective, they can just die next turn anyway. It doesn't matter. From their perspective, they could be dead to another lord. So, in their mind, they have to go. They went for Valakut. But I know that I don't have lethal if they go for the Radiant Fountain line. So anyway, they pull out the Valakuts to shoot my entire board down. So in response, we Petty Theft the Dryad of Elysian Grove. Now there's no mountains in play. Now Valakut actually doesn't do anything because it checks on resolution. Do you still have 5 other mountains in play? When a mountain enters the battlefield under your control, if you control at least 5 other mountains. Do you have 5 other mountains? No, you have no mountains. There's 0 mountains in play. So nothing dies. And fortunately, we do have Spreading Seas. We didn't even need it. Anyway, I play the Spreading Seas just out of style. Actually, we might have needed this if our I don't think the Amulet decks are playing what's it called? Veil of Summer, because they don't need to. They're such a powerful deck. But if they did have it, I guess Trickster would have. We could Trickster the Primeval Titan in response to Veil of Summer and still won. Anyway, so I just attack, Island Walk, and we win. Excellent. Remember, I want to be very clear. This is not a standard play to forego playing turn 1 Ether Vial. Most of the time, you do want to play turn 1 Ether Vial. So, be careful. I do think there are spots where you don't play Ether Vial turn 1. This was one of them. I even looking back, this was a textbook case of not playing Ether Vial. You got Ether Vial 3 lands, you got a 1-drop, you have a Lord, and you've got a really good piece of disruption in the matchup. Hand is not worth throwing away. And you want, and there's one more thing. And you want to clock your opponent quickly. That's a very important. You want to clock your opponent quickly with like turn 1 drop, Lord, and put as much power and into play to race your opponent, because that's exactly what you want to do against Amulet. Like, because once the Amulet stuff starts happening, you're dead. You're super doomed. So it's a race against time. This was a textbook case and textbook hand of when you don't want to play Ether Vial on turn 1. But remember, this doesn't happen very often. Just putting that out in caution. I don't do this too often, but I do it. This was a great example. So that was round 4. Let's move on to round 5.